Hello and welcome everybody to Overwashed. We are going to have a little bit of fun today, aren't we, Clad?
We are.
As everybody can see here, and I am sharing my screen so Clad can see it as well, we have a tier list and we are going to do Doomfist. Doomfist got a lot of exciting rework and changes done when he made his swap over to the tank role. And we've been playing him as much as possible when we haven't been playing Orisa, who we might maybe do one of these if this is fun, if people like it. We can do another one. Anyway, so as we can see here, we have a tier list for neutral, where Doomfist already is, and the favorable, soft counter, and hard counter matchups as well. Oh, why is that? Actually, I'm just noticing that. Do you notice how that's not centered for some reason? That's kind of weird.
I do.
Anyways, we're basically going to go through each hero pretty quickly. We're going to talk a little bit from our first impressions about what kind of Doomfist is good against and what Doomfist is bad against. And yeah, I really like this hero. I think Doomfist is great in the tank role. He kind of should have been here from the beginning, it almost feels like. I actually love playing him. Even though he does a lot less damage, it just feels right. It feels right to have these abilities not one-shot you. It's crazy because I played so much Doomfist. Day one Doomfist was so broken. Not nearly as day one Brig, but he was so broken because like when you uppercutted people, I'm so glad uppercut's gone, by the way. I don't know about you, but I hated uppercut. That was like the one ability that I hated the most, especially because I was a Zen main, and all he had to do was uppercut you. He didn't even have to do any other ability, because back in the original Doomfist uppercut, your momentum in the air was
Oh
basically
yeah,
always the same.
you're just always locked into the
You couldn't move, you couldn't do anything. You were basically stunned.
displacement where you're locked into that is
Mm.
pretty annoying. You couldn't
Oh, it was
air
terrible.
drift and you would just be knocked off the map from just
Yeah.
nowhere near the ledge.
You would just be easy left click shots and dead, especially with a Zenyatta hitbox. Like, a Doom wouldn't have to E you and uppercut you. He could just save the E for an escape cooldown. Like, most Doomfists went in with the E, uppercut, and then use the right click to go out. But back in that day, you didn't even need to do that. You could save the E to get out. You could just uppercut the Zen, shoot him, and then get away while it was all happening mid-air. It was insane. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into the tier list. Enough about this. Let's go ahead and start from the bottom. The things that Doom hard counters. And first up, one of the things that Doom hard counters, let's start with the tank here, Winston. Winston is having a tough time, I think, in Overwatch 2 right now.
Yeah, it definitely feels like they didn't give him anything to actually add on to his kit. It almost feels like the right click should have already been a base like thing, and they
Hmm.
should have given him something else.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it was enough, does it? The right click is cool, it's nice, but it's so weak that you really only use it when you're engaging. You charge up your right click, you use your leap, and then you do the classic Winston melee animation cancel with the leap land. And now you can add another step to that combo with a fully charged right click. And it does do a lot of burst damage when you land on someone. Um, but it just, I don't know, it's not enough, is it? I mean, you're the solo tank and that's all you can do. It feels a little too weak. I don't think Winston's terrible. He's not the worst, but he's unimpressive. And I think the new
Yeah, it's just
Doomfist and new Orisa are one of the reasons why he's so unimpressive. Like, those
yeah,
two
the
tanks
other
alone.
tanks just have so much more to their kits. Just
Hmm.
so much more.
Yeah, and everybody's playing Doomfist and Orisa right now, which obviously they would. Why wouldn't they? They're so fun. They're so good. So Winston feels terrible. First off, one of the things with Winston, he's not going to do any damage to Doom, obviously. And secondly, you put a
He has less
bubble down,
mobility.
you just punch him out of the bubble, and Winston's left exposed. And yeah, what's he
Yeah.
going to do? Right click you with a charged lightning attack? Yeah, who cares? Who cares? Yeah, Winston's definitely one of the weaker ones. Next up, who's another hard counter, Glad? Let's take turns with this. Let's go one by one, maybe.
Honestly, Zin's the next one that immediately comes to mind. And I think
Yeah,
from what I heard of your
definitely,
grievance a second ago,
definitely.
you definitely agree with that one.
That has not changed. Zen has always been fucked by Doomfist, and that has continued to happen now that he's, well, very hard to kill. Discord Orb is annoying, but honestly, in general, I think Zen is actually just really weak. The more I play Overwatch 2, the more I realize how weak Zenyatta is right now in this game. He feels.
Way too slow.
Mm, yeah, he's just too slow. His Discord orb is good, but like everything else feels pretty bad to me. Doesn't feel like it works. It feels like he's stuck in Overwatch 1. That's what it feels
I,
like to me.
I would definitely agree with that. And I
Yeah.
would definitely say that's the same for a lot of the supports too, to some
Very
degree.
much. Very
But
much
as of
so.
right now, mainly Zen for
Yeah.
sure.
And like with the thing I just said, Zenyatta's always had a tough time against Doom, so this is no surprise. Nothing has changed there. Doom's slow that he has now with all of his abilities is really annoying. So like you hit him with the slam, and it's just the easiest punch you've ever landed in your life, right? So it's really easy to mess up Zenyatta. But also when you have a punch, Zenyatta will most likely be behind the main tank. For example, if it's a Reinhardt or something, you punch the Reinhardt, and then the punch will end up hitting the Zenyatta behind the Reinhardt, right? So you end up getting 2 hits with the punch. So that's kind of a really fun thing to like about Doomfist. I really like how you can punch multiple people, but it really sucks for people like Zenyatta because he has to really line up his shots, right? So he likes to get everything kind of and lined up in a way to where it's really easy to land his left clicks, and because of that, you're just lining yourself up to get hit by a punch, and that's why Zenyatta really sucks. And obviously his mobility is just really bad. Next up, my pick is going to have to be Baptiste. Now, Baptiste is. He's not bad in Overwatch 2. I think he's pretty decent. He's okay. He's very slow. His lamp is pretty good, although a lot of it got nerfed. He still feels pretty good. But one of the big things with Baptiste, of course, is you can punch him out of the lamp, and that is pretty powerful. Being able to punch any of the targets out of his lamp is one of the best ways to deal with the lamp because, not everybody wants to waste too much time shooting at the lamp still. It's still kind of like a waste of time to do that. So just punching the Baptiste, and then on top of that, like I just said, your punch hits multiple people. So if Baptiste drops a lamp on a group of people, they're all grouped up, bam, you can punch all of them at once, and they're all out of it. So yeah, Doomfist, definitely my book. Hard countering Baptiste right now. Clad, take it away. What's another hard counter you got?
I gotta say, with the CC nerf, probably Cass. Cass
Mm,
used to be really good against flankers with having his flash. You could use it defensively or you could even roll in and aggressively use it. But not having that anymore really just kind of turned the tables for a lot of those like super high mobile characters to just really
yeah,
get in on him and he doesn't have anything to defend himself. Now the grenade's
yeah.
pretty good because it does a lot of damage and you can like
Mm.
combo that pretty well if you're able to get your shots in. But overall, it's in terms of that actual matchup, he just kind of completely lost his advantage in that against
Oh yeah.
like Doomfist.
I will say, I think the flash, whatever you call it, I don't even know what it's called, but the flashbang replacement, the bomb, it's a lot of fun to use. I love it. It's fun. It's not as good as flashbang. Stunning someone is always going to be better
Yeah,
and
it's
stronger.
always going to be amazing.
Way good, but the bomb is really fun. The amount of work of the developers, I don't know what it is. The sound effects combined with the visual effects, it looks so cool when it blows up, and it feels really good to watch someone die to it. I really enjoy it, even if it is a worse ability. And I do think it's healthy that the stun is out of the game. But yeah, it's one of those things too. If you throw a bomb on the Doomfist, he can just press E, so he takes less damage from it, so it does like nothing. And it's pretty hard to use Fan of the Hammer now if you're not getting a flashbang target. So, like, you just gotta left click him, and you gotta left click him a lot. And Doomfist can just get away for like pretty easily, right? You
Mhm.
press E to absorb the flashbang, whatever the bomb damage, and then just punch away or shift away, and that's it. It's not a big
Get
deal to
in,
me.
get out. Cass doesn't have
Yeah.
anything to deal with it now.
Yep. For me, that's gonna be it for my hard counters. I think next we're gonna move on to the soft counters now. Doomfist soft counters here. I guess one of the first ones we got is Symmetra. Symmetra's pretty whack so far in Overwatch 2. I'm really hoping that she gets a whole rework later down the road. There were some talks that in the future beta waves, they actually have
Knock
further reworks.
experimental.
Yeah, if you guys played the experimental patch, you already know what we're talking about here. Symmetra was turned into a healer, and I think it felt great. A lot of people liked it, actually. The only people who didn't like it were people who were Symmetra one tricks. But that's fine. We don't care about them. We really don't. We really don't. Symmetra feels great as a healer and should be a healer. I hope she gets
She
reworked.
really does feel good as a healer.
And let's be honest,
It
the
felt
support
right.
pool, it felt so right, dude. And the support hero pool, it needs more heroes. And let me tell you, do what Doomfist got reworked from DPS to tank. Why not take Symmetra, rework it to a support? It makes so much sense. It'll make the support like hero. I don't know. It just makes so much sense to me. But anyways, enough of that. The reason why Symmetra is a soft counter. First off, extremely low mobility. Very easy to hit her with any punch. Her ultimate does nothing to stop that. And also, it's very easy to absorb all the damage with your E from Doomfist just to get an easy power up. Also, because one of the things is her turrets. If you're holding down E, you absorb the damage. It's kind of like Zarya Bubble. People are slowly starting to learn to not shoot at you when you're using your E. But when it comes to a turret, it's going to shoot you no matter what. So you're always going to have a fully charged fist. And that's one of the reasons why I think that you kind of just mess her up, right? She's a really easy target. Her ultimate does nothing. Her turrets always give you max E for your max punch. Just not a very good matchup for her.
It just feels too outdated. Deal with it.
Yeah, Symmetra in general feels kind of like she's stuck in Overwatch 1. She either needs a rework to support or a Bastion level rework, in my opinion. So next up,
Can
what do
agree
you
with that.
have?
You know what? I'm gonna go with Torbjorn.
Hmm.
I don't think it's a hard counter because he does have his overclock or whatever. I don't
His
remember what it's called.
survivability with his armor
Yeah,
is
he
good.
does
Yeah.
have the armor and he does have a shotgun, but Doom having the E and then on top of that he's a tank now with the increased HP, like it kind of makes it a bit easier for him to deal with Torbjorn now. So
Yeah.
Torbjorn being low mobility just kind of makes him weak against Doomfist now,
Yeah, he's a
as
very easy
opposed to
target.
in Overwatch 1.
I will say we haven't seen like almost nobody play
You
Torbjorn in
definitely need to
Symmetra.
see more. I
Definitely need
need
to
to
see a
play him.
bit more
I
of
need to
him.
play him. I need to actually play him.
It's
I
hard. It's weird because like you have all these changes, and
you just
some of
want
these
to, yeah, you just
people
want to try
are,
all these other ones, and everybody else is trying all the
yeah.
changes.
It's hard to find time to want to play Torbjorn in Symmetra with all these other changes, which is a fault to a degree. But I don't know. Torbjorn, I guess he's at a healthy state right now. I don't think he's a terrible hero.
I think
Um,
he's in a pretty good spot for what he is as a
yeah,
builder.
it's true. Do you think he's worse and do you think he was better in 6v6?
I'm going to say yes.
I was thinking he was too, just because his ultimate is really easy to just avoid now. You have so many less things going on the
Mhm.
screen that one of the biggest weaknesses of the lava was, I think, mostly just stepping into it accidentally because there was just so much shit going around and it's hard to kind of see it all. But with less stuff happening in Overwatch 2, it's so easy to identify everything going on. It's much easier to have game awareness. The ultimate is way worse on Torbjorn, I think. Same with
Oh
the
yeah,
turret. It's much easier to find it. It's not as sneaky anymore. You see a
less
turret,
cover for it too.
yeah,
One
especially
less
with the new
tank,
maps,
one less
especially
shield,
less shields,
and the open
different
maps. Yeah,
maps.
that's right.
The turret is a lot less effective. Yeah, I don't know.
Torb's just
Torbjorn's,
more vulnerable now.
I think it's a fine thing though. I don't think he's super weak, but I kind of like it when a character like him's weak though. You
I
don't want Torb to
definitely
be
feel
OP.
like once we see people who actually play Torb and who are actually like really
Hmm,
good with Torb,
that's
we'll
true.
figure out the niche like areas and parts of the maps that he really excels at. I'm sure we'll find that
Hmm.
he's in a pretty good spot for himself.
That is true. We haven't really discovered a meta yet with some of the newer maps. Maybe the Overwatch League players have some practice on that already. That is going to be interesting. I can't wait to see the Overwatch League people play When is it? This Sunday, or is it a little bit further
Uh,
away? Something like that.
May 5th?
May 5th. May 5th. That's
May
right.
5th. Which May 5th? Next chance to get beta keys.
Yes, make sure to get those guys. But yeah, I am excited to watch that. I'm curious to see what the meta is for those players, what heroes they think are good, right? So that's going to be exciting. But ultimately, I'm going to move on to my next pick here for soft counter. I'm going to go ahead and say Hanzo. Hanzo in general, a little bit on the weaker side. He got nerfed. I don't know if people know this. The only change that happened to him really was they nerfed his storm arrows, his big E cooldown. So he feels like he does a lot less damage compared to some other DPS heroes. He does have a little bit of mobility, obviously, with his little jump thing, but other than that, I mean, it's really easy to feed a Hanzo or defeat a Doomfist as Hanzo. Just one hit with an arrow gives him a fully charged punch, and then that's really where the deadly power of Doomfist comes through, is when you can punish them with a fully charged punch, and Hanzo does that really easily. And the damage from his E is nerfed to the point where it's not a threat, but it is enough to kind of be able to take advantage of the damage for your E. So yeah, I think Hanzo's in a weird spot right now. He's a bit weak. I mean, if you're landing headshots with him, he's pretty good, but ultimately he's just a bit weaker than from where he was in Overwatch 1 in my book.
Yeah, having one less tank to actually shoot at and get a lot of charge and just spam your E on, and on top of that, it does less damage. You're really just not just spitting out damage, so you're very, very reliant on actually hitting headshots,
Mm,
which is arguably a good thing. We'll need to see. I think he's in a good spot, but well, I need to play him a little bit more and actually hit a bit more
mm.
shots.
It's one of
Have a
those
bit warmed
heroes.
up on him.
It's one of those heroes we're talking about. Not many people want to play him because there's so much other stuff to play.
Hmm.
One of those characters that feels okay, but also he did get nerfed, so he's definitely a little bit worse than he
You
used to be.
definitely
So
feel it.
I think the damage is huge. It was like 20 or 25 damage for each arrow on E, which added up to a lot.
It seems like you almost need to use most of your storm arrows to kill one target.
Yeah. I mean, another reason why it's worse because, all the tanks are tankier. So the E hits a lot less if you're hitting the tank with it. It does like almost nothing, especially on Orisa now because she just eats it with her E. So yeah, it just feels all around bad. If you have a tank that you want to hit all your E arrows into, it's probably Roadhog. That's probably the best thing because not many people are playing Roadhog right now, though. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, considering everybody's playing like Orisa, Hanzo also feels especially worse for
People
that.
who play Roadhog typically are trying to do it to counter characters that you need some sort of CC, like maybe Genji or Tracers in your back line, and
Yeah,
you need
that
to
is a
use
big
one of the
thing.
few CCs that exist in the game.
Very few
It's
CCs in the
not,
game now. Doomfist
but
is
you
one of
still
them
have
now.
to worry about like the enemy tank, so it's still a very niche situation that you would pick Roadhog,
hmm
but there is that situation that you could use it now more than ever because of the lack of CC that exists in the game. It becomes more valuable.
I forget whose turn is it. I believe it's yours. Is it?
Yes. You know what? I'm gonna go with Reinhardt.
Mm.
He's just, he's got updated pretty well, like with the charge cancel and the two fire strikes, and I think that's good to like bring him into Overwatch 2. But if we're really talking about like with the new tanks, he still can't quite keep up.
I feel
Uh
that.
he- Doomfist is just gonna still kind of control and like push over Reinhardt to some degree. I mean, and I feel like Reinhardt's just still too reliant on additional like teammates. Like he just still needs that Lucio, which is fine right now because
Definitely right
a
now.
lot of people are going Lucio
Yeah.
Moira because that's a
Lucio's
really good
very good.
comp right now. Uh, so it's fine to play Reinhardt now, but it's still maybe if you get a good like a good Anna, but that's the thing. Like maybe if you have this additional character, but like the thing with Genji, for example, and him in the state with the lack of CC, he doesn't necessarily need Nano Boost anymore. whereas Reinhardt still needs that additional character to kind of help him out.
He needs to be
And that's
enabled.
why I feel like Doomfist would get that edge in this scenario.
I agree. I played a lot of Doomfist, and I feel like I'm just cyberbullying Reinhardt's. I just punch them, punch them, punch them. They just can't play the game. The most they can do is try to charge, but like 4 seconds later, what am I doing? Punching you again. It doesn't do anything to me. You can do the charge to cancel it out, but it just feels like you're exposing yourself more than it's exposing me as Reinhardt. Yeah, Reinhardt, not a terrible hero. I think he's pretty good on some maps, but he just needs to be enabled by that Lucio, right? He needs to be enabled by his team in order to be really helpful. On to the next pick. I think the soft counter here is a hero that also I don't see many people playing. It's Junkrat. And one of the biggest reasons for that, because Junkrat's trap got a big nerf. Obviously, his Junkrat trap is a really big counter to mobile heroes, and it would have been really good against Doomfist, but it got changed. It no longer roots you or ensnares you. It no longer traps you. All it does now is it just applies a little slow to you. I can't remember the number. I think it's literally 50%, something like that. But because of the tank passives or whatever, it's not really 50%, right? It gets reduced a little bit, or is it just the duration gets reduced on you? Maybe it's both. I forget which it is. Either way, it sucks. The most you're gonna do is use a shift mine to try to get away. That's all you really can do. Like, Doomfist is not gonna care if he gets it. I mean, the E absorbs all the damage from the bombs. It's not a big deal, and the trap no longer will get a Doomfist instantly killed. You're just gonna get trapped, and you're just gonna shake it off and be like, whatever. I can just use my shift or E or punch and get away, or I can just wait a little bit and the slow's gone. Junkrat's pretty nerfed, and I like it. I like where Junkrat's at. I don't want Junkrat to be oppressive. I don't want to feel like I'm playing Frogger and all I have to do is dodge a bunch of bombs. That's not really fun for me. So the fact that he's not a good hero right now is amazing. And the new maps also help that because there are way less choke points, which I love. And also, one of the best things about Junkrat was he was just god tier on like 2 CP maps. Like, you're defending Temple of Anubis, right? He's miserable to play against. You don't have that anymore. No 2 CP in the game automatically made Junkrat just infinitely worse. And I love it. Personally, I'm all for that. But yeah, I think Doomfist is really good against Junkrat, and I hope Junkrat is never meta. I don't like that hero. He's not healthy. If there was meta list and Junkrat was meta, I'm not happy. I'm not a happy camper. Not having fun with the game. Junkrat's good and meta. Sorry, Junkrat mains. Nobody likes your character. Sorry. Anyways, take it away, Clad. Your next pick.
All right, so we're going into. Let's go into unfavorable. First, I would say Genji.
Genji.
I feel like Genji used to be way worse in the Doomfist Genji 1v, but now I would say they're both better. I would say Genji is able to get some damage, and I feel like he has some sort of outs against Doomfist, but ultimately I think Doomfist still just has like the edge and just does everything that Genji does, but just a little bit better. Maybe not so much in the damage department anymore.
You're probably not outright killing a Genji a lot of the time, but Genji has a tough time dealing with you.
You're still scaring off the Genji most of the time.
As a tank probably should, right? I feel like it is a tank's job to create the space, so you shouldn't be intimidated by it.
Some flankers and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, the punch still goes through deflect, and it's still gonna make it doesn't. I think it cancels the deflect still, right? Like, it's gonna just punch him out of it. So in that case, it's pretty decently in Doomfist's favor. If you cancel that, Genji's gonna be like, ah, shit. Right, he's probably going to ruin up whatever he's trying to do on the flank. Genji is having a really good time in Overwatch 2, though. It's definitely better without all the flashbangs and no more Brig stun. But yeah, I would say Doomfist, I agree with you there. Genji's in a pretty good spot, though, right now. He is pretty strong. Next up on that one, I'm going to go with Widowmaker. I think Widowmaker is really strong right now, but Obviously, Widowmaker just doesn't do really well against any tank. She doesn't really want to try to shoot tanks. That's not what Widowmaker does. If Doomfist is in your game, he's going to be the one tank you're probably going to be most scared of next to D.Va, because he has the ability to get to you wherever you are, for the most part, depending on where you are. But 90% of the time, Doomfist could probably reach a Widow and then just kill her. And she's not going to be able to do anything against you now that Doomfist is a tank and has a ton of health, right?
It definitely seems like Doomfist and then Ball are probably the
True.
go-to
Ball.
dive kind of tanks.
Yeah, I haven't seen much of D.Va. D.Va actually is one of those really weird picks right now. I think we need to play around with D.Va a little bit more. I definitely have not even played her. I don't
Every
think I've played her
time I've
once.
seen a D.Va, they seem like they're playing the game, but I don't ever actually feel impact from D.Vas, and I always just end up see them running.
Mm. That's an interesting take. I do think that's true. I haven't seen her like at all. I don't think I've played like a single game with
I will
D.Va.
definitely need to play more of D.Va.
Yeah, so that's one of those sleeper picks that we just I don't think anybody's playing her right now because she's not really any different. But
But I
yeah,
think it's the same thing, yeah.
I think it's
I
the
think
same.
Doom's just gonna bully her for the most
Yeah,
part.
I think Widow's, obviously she doesn't want to be shooting at tanks. It's not what she does. I will say her gun like sound effects and all that stuff are fantastic though. But yeah, she doesn't want to do that. Next up, I believe is you.
You know what? I'm gonna go with this might be weird champ, but I'm gonna say Reaper.
I feel you. I don't see any Reapers actually either. That's another pick we don't see much of. Don't see
I
much.
think Reaper is in a weird spot, and I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Yeah, Reaper is. I mean, he was kind of a really brawl hero, right? And he was really good against with Lucio and all those heroes. But I haven't been seeing anybody pick him. I think he might be really good for more of a coordinated six stack kind of gameplay.
He is super niche, yeah, coordinated plan, like with like a Reinhardt brawl, like you're on Lijiang Tower.
But we
You go
have
to the
not
night
seen many
market.
of those people.
Yeah, we don't see a lot of coordination like that with some of the older characters. See a lot of people just playing the new characters though.
And rightfully
But
so. Who wants to play some characters where there's no changes? I feel like that's
of
definitely the
course,
weakness with Overwatch 2
we've
right
been
now.
playing the same game for 3 years,
Yeah.
so we want to play the beta where it's the same thing for them.
Yeah, we want new content. We finally have it. So let's play the new content. Why play Reaper? Why play Torbjorn? Why
I
play
feel
the
like Reaper should be doing something against tanks, but I feel like he just doesn't do anything
Yeah.
against tanks
It's all
unless
flank
he
Reaper, I
has
think.
a Lucio hard pushing in and getting hard pocketed by the Ana and having the Reinhardt giving him complete cover. I just don't see him really getting a lot of value. And even when he's using his ultimate, I've seen like 3 total Death Blossoms and only 1 singular kill.
I don't think I think I have seen a bit of Reaper, and you're right. I think I played against him like once, and he just like Death Blossomed like one person. I think Death Blossom in general, or maybe just big AoE ultimates don't have as much impact as your solo kill ultimates. I think your solo kill ultimates are better now. Like in Overwatch 1, Death Blossom was scary because there were so many things happening, especially on 2CP. But with Overwatch 2, I feel like the single target, I'm going to get a pick with an ultimate really easily, and that's all I really need to do. That's good. That's like Soldier Visor, for example. It's such a good ultimate right now because you get that one guaranteed kill when it's the right time on a support, and bam, you can just win the team fight a lot easier than if, oh, I Death Blossom on a point, because there's not really, the game isn't like that anymore. It's crazy to think that, but yeah, Reaper feels weak right now. I think Death Blossom might be a big part of that because the map also, the maps don't favor
Yeah.
him. You just play flank Reaper. That's how you play him. I don't know how else you
I
play him.
I will say the reason why unfavorable over like a softer or hard counter
Hmm.
is Wraith.
Yeah, absolutely. Wraith.
It's wraiths and fades are so good to actually counter like abilities like Doomfist Punch.
Yeah. I know I played Doomfist against a Reaper, I think even just today, and he did like no damage to me though. Like I was absorbing his shotgun blows and everything. It didn't feel like
Mm-hmm.
it mattered. And then if he were, if he tried to run at me, I could shift or punch away pretty easily. He couldn't chase me down really. I was still just much faster, much more mobile. And I from there I could pretty much take my fights and just do whatever I wanted to. Reaper just feels really awkward. He feels just like Hanzo right now. Just like, it's just more of the same. Not terrible, just kind of weak. Why play him, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I agree with you there. It's just bleh. It's not neutral. I feel like Doomfist isn't gonna die to him. I feel like Doomfist actually has a bit of an upper
He
hand,
just
but
is there.
yeah, he is. For my next pick, I'm actually gonna go with Ashe. Ashe, very similar to Reaper in that regard, where she can almost kind of get away from you sometimes because of her shift ability, just like Reaper's. But she just feels kind of weak right now. I feel like Ashe doesn't do nearly as much as she used to. I don't know if it has something to do with the maps and maybe they're not as favorable for like a sniper pick, or if people aren't doing damage boost things as much as they are in Overwatch 1. But Ashe definitely doesn't feel as oppressive as she was in Overwatch 1, and I don't really know why. All they did is nerf Bob, but yet she feels so much easier to kill right now. Like when I've been Doomfist, I just hit shift on her, and then she's slowed, and then I punch her, and then bam, she's dead. I left clicker. It's pretty easy to kill an Ashe. As long as you get the jump on her, her shift isn't gonna get the distance away from her. Like you land your slam on her. If she tries to shift away, you probably are still in range to hit her with the punch. It's not that hard. Yeah, Ashe just
And
doesn't
I
feel
will
that
say,
good.
with my experience with Bob, he
Mm.
actually burns. Like, you can burn him
Yeah,
down pretty fast.
really fast. He's got only
I took like
200 less health.
3 shots. Like, I took
Mhm.
like 2 fast shots as Hanzo, just headshots, and then just like immediately canceled into a storm arrow shot, and it just died.
Yeah. It only has
Like
like
three
200
shots,
less
and it's just
health,
dead.
but it feels like it's way squishier than that.
Yeah,
It's
it's
really weird.
actually way. It feels way more substantial than you'd think. Just 200
Yeah.
damage.
And we used to just, sleep Bob and that was it, right? But now you just kill
Hmm.
him. Just kill Bob. It's
Yeah.
not a big deal. I don't know. I kind of
It
like
feels
it.
good not having to dedicate a lot of resources to it,
Hmm.
but I don't know. I don't know. If it doesn't feel too oppressive, it doesn't feel like there is an additional character.
Yeah,
It doesn't feel like a 7v6. It feels like a 5v5.
I agree. I think it's perfectly balanced, honestly. Well, that's it for Ash. What do you got next?
Uh, you know, I talked a little bit about it a little ago.
Hmm.
I'm gonna say Diva. She is in a
Yeah,
weird spot as well. She's not gonna die to Doomfist. She has insane mobility still.
true.
She just doesn't do damage. She doesn't really apply pressure, and
Hmm.
Doomfist does apply pressure. So you're just gonna kind of go in and then just fly away most of the time as a
Yeah.
diva against a
And Defense
Doomfist. So
Matrix doesn't do
you're just
much
not
either.
getting any like pressure whatsoever, any presence. You might be
Hmm.
saving your team from shots, but eventually DM's gonna run out.
Yep. And you get punched. And then when you get out of Diva and your baby Diva, you're also kind of pointless. I don't know. I've only seen Diva maybe like once, and it doesn't feel like it has much impact in Overwatch 2. Um, I don't know what they're gonna do with Diva. Diva feels weird to me too. I feel like she needs a little bit of something. Her kit feels outdated
I
almost.
agree.
I don't think she's
I look
terrible,
at
but
Diva and I say, wow, cringe.
yeah, I see what you did there. New voice line. Yeah, that's about it for the unfavorable. So now let's go into the neutral. These are people that kind of, as you can imagine, have a very even matchup with Doomfist, one way or another. A little bit of tug and war. It could go either way, probably in either's favor. Um, Obviously, Doomfist is already here because it's, the same hero. After that, I'm going to choose the reworked Bastion. Now, this is kind of interesting because it can go both ways, right? Bastion can shred Doomfist if Doomfist allows it. But here's the big thing where it goes the other way. When his main damage source is his turret form, but it's a very long cooldown. Now, Doomfist can choose to be smart and just avoid it, right? The second thing he could do is be a Chad, man up, and punch Bastion. If you punch Bastion in his form, it stuns him and takes him out of it. So, in that regard, this matchup is pretty even for two different ways. The main thing that Bastion does is he plays around that cooldown. So you could either just avoid him, run away, use your E, just, absorb it. It's not that big of a deal. And then you could just be a Chad and punch him and cancel it out of him and just kill him. So, yeah, I think it could go either way. It kind of depends on other factors, really. It depends on your team, positioning, what your health looks like at that moment. And then you can decide to either run or man up and fight him. Either way, Bastion, even though he's a pretty okay spot right now, I think he's pretty fun, pretty situational, pretty neutral when it comes to Doomfist.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that because it definitely feels like the dynamic is
okay.
Steam.
Somebody invited me to a game on Steam. We ignore it.
It definitely feels like the dynamic is like playing chess, almost like, oh, I need to bait out this ability because his ability can counter my ability, but I can also counter him. It definitely does feel pretty even back and forth. You really need to use your game IQ in that standoff.
Yeah, so I think the next one up is you. Who do you think is next?
You know what? I am gonna go with Mercy. I think the punch to knock out Rez is pretty big because Rez, I think you can agree, Rez definitely seems pretty powerful. Still as potent as ever of an ability to have on your team,
definitely,
especially with one less character.
Rez is better than ever. It really is an annoying ability. I really don't like Resurrect at all. I think it doesn't belong in Overwatch 2. It's so annoying in this mode. Picks are everything. Their picks were everything in Overwatch 1. It's even more so in Overwatch 2. And the Resurrect ability, it just feels so bad to me. Like it's crazier because imagine you kill a tank and you resurrect a tank in Overwatch 2, it is brutal. It is brutal. It is so clutch. And the thing is, we've had this conversation so many times, but you get what you put in, right? Somebody's putting in work and gets that kill, and they work hard for it through mechanical aim. So, for example, Sojourn's right click. It's really, really hard and rewarding at the same time to get a really nice right click. You have to work to get the ult, or your, what do you call it? Your energy built up, get it to 100, and then you headshot them or body shot them and it fully kills someone. You work for that. You put in a lot of work in order to get that reward of that kill. With Mercy, you do nothing. You just walk up and you press E and you get an entire 700 health behemoth resurrected on the battlefield. It's unstoppable. It's unforgivable. Resurrect to me in this game, I hate it. I hate it in Overwatch 2. It's way worse. Resurrect should not be allowed on tanks. Similar to how Echo shouldn't be able to duplicate.
Not be on an ability cooldown.
You know what they should do? It should be like Apex Legends style. You res them and they don't have full HP. That's the problem. That's really what it comes from. Either resurrect them with like half health or something. Yeah, they should be weak if they get resurrected.
Because that would require it to be a full team coordinated play in a lot of circumstances.
Yeah, I know a lot of Mercy players will hate this, but resurrecting a tank is way too broken. If you resurrect a DPS, they can be full health. I don't really have that much of a problem with that. It's the tanks.
They need to fix all the supports. There's just a lot of work that needs to be done. They've been so neglected.
Very much so. I think Mercy is very hard for Doomfist to lock down. She can fly around. Obviously, her ult's really a pain. We're getting a little off topic discussing about Resurrect being an awful ability, but it has to be said.
But
Resurrecting a
that's
tank is
just
terrible.
to emphasize the importance of why Doomfist Punch is so good against Mercy because of how powerful Res
Yeah.
is.
With the lack of stuns and CC, interrupting a res is more important than ever. And
Mm-hmm.
punch is one of the few abilities that does it consistently and very well. Because as you know, your punch hits multiple people. So even if someone tries to block it or whatever, you can punch through it and still boop her away from it. And that's why the punch is so good. Of course, if she's resurrecting in the air with her ultimate, then that's where the
A
neutral
little
part
harder.
comes from, right? Because you can't touch her, so it's a
And yeah, her
matchup.
mobility
Yeah,
is very
I,
insane.
her mobility is very annoying. Um, I don't think I think we've talked about this too. Resurrect. There's so many different things you can do about it. Either don't let her
Mm-hmm.
resurrect tanks, but like half HP or less, or make it so you resurrect is like a
Like a
thing where like they're a
temporary life.
ghost. Yeah, like it's
Yeah.
like a temporary life, and then they go back to dead or something like
There's a
that.
few things they can do. There's a
Yeah.
lot of things they can do.
There is so much they
They
could
need to do
do.
something for supports. They
Yeah,
need to do something.
because, and I'm going to put this hero in neutral as well, because the example I just gave, Sojourn. Because like we said with Sojourn, you gotta put in work to get that reward. And Sojourn does a lot of work in order to get that reward. I love Sojourn. She feels great. Her right click is really fun. It just takes a
Mm-hmm.
lot of work to build that up. You gotta get your 100 charge, and then you gotta hit the headshot with the 100 charge, or you got to do a little bit of damage to someone, get them slowed by your E or something, and then you hit the body shot to kill them with the right click. And that's a lot of work for your reward, and that's why we don't like Mercy Resurrect. It's very easy. But when it comes to Doomfist, Sojourn's shift makes it pretty difficult for Doomfist to lock on. The shift ability is crazy good. You go a huge distance,
Oh
and then
yeah.
you jump at the end of it for a ton of airtime. Yeah, it's a pretty even matchup. I would say Doomfist. It all depends on the shift cooldown and where it's at any given moment. Because if you use one shift, Sojourn's completely away from the Doomfist, and you might as well not even bother going after her. And the E slow ability is also kind of annoying too to deal with. But on the other side of that, Sojourn also gives, a lot of E damage, so you can absorb a lot. Because she's pretty often going to be nonstop left clicking somewhere, and you can just jump in front of it and press E. And since it's a projectile, it's going to take a while before she stops shooting. So you're going to get like basically a fully charged punch a lot of the time to deal with her. But yeah, for the most part, pretty neutral. What do you have next?
All right. I'm going to say it. Soldier 76.
Ooh, the legend himself.
He pumps damage,
Oh, a ton. His ult's
but
so good too.
that builds Doomfist pretty
Yeah,
heavily because it's
yeah,
kind of hard as a soldier to not charge up a Doomfist because you want to shred him. You go, there's no shield. I just want to
mm,
shoot this guy, and then you
true.
just feed a lot of. You just feed him. You just feed him.
Especially with your
Now,
rocket.
you have a lot of mobility, so you can. That's where the neutral part comes in. You can kind of maybe make your way away from the Doomfist and kind of play out of his range. But he
Mm-hmm.
also has the ability to kind of catch up and just kind of negate a lot of your damage. So you that's why I would say it's pretty neutral.
Yeah, the movement speed even more so with the DPS
Oh yeah.
passive buff too.
He zooms.
Yeah, the DPS passive buff feels weird. It feels like I don't know how you feel about it, but it feels really crazy on some heroes, more so than it should.
Mhm.
But I do love the tank and support passives. I feel like you could remove the movement speed buff on a lot of the DPS heroes and almost nothing would change.
Yeah, I've definitely mentioned it before, but feel like flat changes like that to all tanks, all DPS, all supports,
Mm,
whenever they do that stuff, it just doesn't work. Like it doesn't make sense. Like
it's a
does it really
lot.
make sense for Reinhardt to be booped as far as Baby Diva?
Mm,
Like that doesn't make sense. Does
I feel you.
Reinhardt and Sigma need to be booped. I mean, like one's like in a lot of armor, probably like well, 800 pounds, and Sig's just floating around. He's not even wearing socks, bro.
It's true. He's got
He ain't
his
got nothing
toes
on.
out.
He's got a skin suit on basically. Like they do not weigh the same amount, but they get booped the same distance, regardless of like and that's probably not like that's just like a random example, but I
I get
mean,
what you're
what
saying.
even you were saying, like some of the DPS, like the move speed, just is like what?
Yeah, it feels weird on like obviously what are you gonna do with Widowmaker? Movement speed is kind of like okay, thank you. I can
Sombra
walk out of
feels
spawn.
crazy because you get the
Oh
move
yeah,
speed increase on Invis as well.
yeah,
You
Genji
just
too.
fly.
Yeah, it's a lot for some heroes, and for others, it's like, what's the point? Who cares?
Hmm.
Um,
Like May.
yeah, Mei's also a weird hero right now too. They nerfed her a lot, but I also haven't played her or seen her too much. But moving on from Soldier, we'll go ahead to Zarya. This is a tank versus tank matchup, so it's not gonna. Most of the time, tanks aren't gonna kill each other that much. Tanks have a lot of nerfed on the damage. This is one of those tanks that she's just gonna bubble your punch. It does push you back when bubbled, but then you can just do a second bubble. So what's it matter? And then of course, on the other side of that, you can bubble the people that you're trying to punch, like her allies or whatever, and she bubbles that. All around, pretty neutral. Pretty nothing's gonna happen, right? There's not really and nobody's budging each other too much. She blocks a lot of your damage with her bubble. You block a lot of her damage with your E. And then if you go for her allies, she can bubble them to kind of save them. So yeah,
Yeah, it
it's
really
very
comes
neutral.
down to just the better player on their character
Better character,
because they both
better
have to
team.
build up their damage.
That too. Yeah. The build up is very important when it comes to those. I think that the matchup is this is one of the most neutral matchups of all time. I would say this is as neutral as it gets as fighting another Doomfist. It's just better player wins,
Yeah,
probably.
basically.
Next up we have who do you have?
I'm going to say probably the last one for me would be Ball. I mean, I would say that might be the most neutral. That is so void because they just don't even acknowledge each other. They just
Yeah.
do their own thing.
One's playing checkers, the other's playing chess, and they're both in separate rooms. They're doing whatever they want and just they're
There
not
really
fighting
is
each other
no
at all.
interaction. Like even
Yeah.
if they meet,
Nothing
they're
happens.
yeah, nothing happens. They just
Zoro on
roll
Thriller Bark.
right on by.
Yeah. Very Zoro on Thriller Bark moment. They just don't touch, don't fight, don't whatever. I don't think Ball's bad. I think Ball's actually better now that there's less
I think he's
CC.
pretty good.
He's very good. If you like playing a mobile character, Ball is definitely really strong
He's
right
a
now.
lot of fun right now
Yeah, he's
with
very
the lack of
fun.
CC.
Unless with a hero that I will get into later. But that hero's always been a problem for Ball. So that hasn't changed, I guess. Right? But on from that, that's going to be it for neutral for me. I'm going to move on to the characters that are now favorable against Doomfist. And I am going to pick the one and only Brigitte. Brigitte's always been kind of a pain in Doomfist's side. And now you can't kill a Brig as Doomfist, really. It's tough.
I definitely Briggs seems. Briggs definitely also in a weird place, but that just goes back to the supports needing more love. Like that, that really just cannot be like iterated enough. Honestly, like the supports need something. Blizzard, the supports need something. I know it's coming,
Just
but
not yet.
it's too late. Like we need
Yeah.
it now.
Yeah. Brig is very unfun to play right now. Um she's not terrible. She's not the worst in my opinion, but she's not good. I do think that she has sometimes when she is good. If there is Doomfist running amok, you could play Brig and Doomfist is not going to kill you. right? Back in the old days when Doomfist was able to one shot with a punch, Brig could die from that. You could maybe stun him if he tried to punch you. But more often than not, you had ways to just fully kill the Brig still, right? Now, not really. You're a tank, you're doing less damage. Brig is just going to live, and she's going to make you just go for other targets, basically. Like, why waste your time with the Brig, right? I'd rather go and try to punch and use my shift on some other target. Brig is kind
Yeah.
of like we'll clean her up kind of character, right? We're not going to focus her. We're going to clean her up later because her healing and her armor just doesn't really matter. And if she has her ult, that's a different story. But for the most part, Brig can just do what she wants against Doomfist now, which
Yeah.
kind of
I
always
feel
was
like
the
it's
case, I
similar to
guess. But
Reaper, except she's got more utility that's actually useful.
yeah, you can heal through the
Reaper,
damage.
his ultimate's useless, and Rally is actually useful still.
Yeah, that's true. And you can just heal through the damage. I feel like Doomfist, unless you have that charged punch, which if you're playing against a Brig, you're not gonna get a charged. Like if you hold your E, it's pretty easy to just not charge it as Brig, so your punch isn't gonna do a whole lot of damage. Brig can just heal through that. Not a big deal.
And
And
Shield Bash also heals, or it triggers his
yeah, I
fire.
was just
So
about to
like
say that. Yeah,
you're getting your healing triggered all the time.
yeah. You can now heal from your shield bash. And the shield bash gives more mobility, so you can just also just avoid Doomfist completely if you need to. It's pretty
You
easy.
can dodge his ultimate pretty easily too.
Oh yeah, don't
It
try to
actually
use the ult.
travels.
Yeah, you can get away from it completely. That's the thing.
Yeah,
Doomfist just
that
doesn't
that
do damage
ability
against
is
her.
not that aggressive, like that aggressive of an ability.
Yeah. Doomfist
It used to
ult.
be let me initiate with this.
Yeah, Doomfist ult is definitely. I would say it's the weakest of all the tank ults probably right now. Maybe
I
maybe
think
not over
I
some,
may
but it's
agree
really
with
weak.
that.
It's pretty weak.
Sigma's might be. You know what? Like I love Monkey ult, but it
Mm,
needs to be changed probably. That
yeah,
might be the weakest one
that's
purely
true. That is
because it
pretty
feels
weak.
outdated.
It feels outdated. Doomfist ult feels like it should be on a DPS character. It feels weird on him.
It feels
Um,
like it is with Bastion. It feels
yeah,
like honestly
Bastion.
they could just give Doomfist a completely different ultimate.
It's true. I don't know. The Brig matchup with Doomfist is not as because back in Overwatch 1, I would say Brig hard counters Doom, but I would say it's gone down now. Doomfist doesn't like fully. I don't know. The way Doomfist doesn't do damage and Brig doesn't have the stun anymore. Like if you stunned Doomfist in
Yeah,
Overwatch 1, he would
she doesn't
die,
counter,
but it doesn't hard counter it anymore. But Doomfist
but
also
you're gonna
doesn't want to
be
do
in a
it
better
still.
situation than if you were on
Yeah.
Reaper.
Brig still has an advantage, but it's just not as much of a crazy advantage as it was before. Doomfist
Mhm.
is going to live still. Like, if you tried to go for a Brig, Brig would make it so you would die. Now, if you go for Brig, Brig is just, you're both kind of at a stalemate, but Brig will probably come out on top, is
It's
basically
another
how
one
it's
of
going to.
those they exist characters.
Yeah. You don't see much Brigs, but when you do, it's still annoying, though. I would say if you're playing a mobile
Mhm.
character against a Brig, it's still pretty annoying. But yeah, that's all I got on Brig.
Mhm.
What do you got?
Well, I think for me, I'm gonna go with Moira. Moira, I want to say, could arguably be the best support, at least for the average player.
Yeah.
Especially right now, with the fact that we are 100% in a brawl meta, it might later develop into something with a bit more strategy, probably a bit more depth within the coming weeks alone.
Mm-hmm.
But as of right now, Moira is just really strong. Like, and same thing with like
Very.
Reaper's Wraith. Like, it is really good, but it's better, honestly. And then just she can actually duel so hard, especially or even if it's a tank, especially if they don't have a shield.
I
And I
think
think it goes through his eat, doesn't it?
the yeah, I think so. I mean, he just takes damage reduction. It's not like it stops anything, I don't think.
Okay.
It I'm pretty sure you can do anything to his E. He just takes less damage, is all it is. I think. I'm trying to think
She
if there's
definitely
exceptions, but
shreds with her just popping damage orb all the time. Like, it really feels like you should be using your damage orb more often than
yeah,
not.
I feel that.
But I've definitely found you can duel Doomfist with relative ease, but it's
Yeah,
kind of hard to actually secure the kill.
very hard.
But I do feel like you can fend for yourself and actually manage to be able to get away with relative ease as a Moira, and I think that's like the important thing because like
They're probably gonna
while
nerf her Wraith
yes,
form,
it
I think.
is important to like be able to actually apply pressure. I don't think it's good to actually spam like damage orbs all the time. So you really don't want to be trying to duel the Doomfist.
Yeah, it's
But
not something you want to do, but maybe
yeah,
it'll
but
happen.
getting out easily. That's why definitely favorable.
Yeah,
You will have
his
no issue fighting him off and then getting out back to your team
yeah,
as a
Moira
Moira.
is just so good right now, and her Wraith form alone is what makes that a favorable matchup. I mean, why bother going after her half the time? She's just gonna Wraith away. You
Mhm.
could try to maybe make her burn that cooldown, but that cooldown's insanely low. I feel like they need to nerf that.
And it's going to be hard to get out now as tank Doomfist as opposed to when
True.
he was a DPS.
Hey, that's what you use the alt for, I guess. I mean, that's the alt does so little on Doomfist. You might as well just keep using it for escape. That's how I'm
I,
trying to use it now.
yeah,
I
definitely
don't know.
seems that way.
Unless there's a Zenyatta to ult on, I just use it to get away. That's pretty much it. But yeah, for the favorable matchups, my next one up is going to be Mei. Mei is she's weird. She's nerfed. She doesn't freeze, but she's still as annoying and hard to kill as ever. She's still invulnerable during ice block. She
Hmm.
still has her
Wall's
ice
still
wall.
annoying.
Still annoying. It's nerfed, but still annoying. Her ult still freezes, and that's really annoying. But most off, she's gonna still slow you with the left click by 50%, I believe it is. It's still very annoying. And I believe you can get like slowed through your E, so yeah, it's just one of those characters that Doomfist isn't really gonna kill, like ever. You do more damage or less damage than ever, so Mei's gonna have no problem ice blocking you whenever she's low and healing up, and then you're gonna have to try to fight her all over again, and then she's gonna wall you away. I mean, Mei's very annoying to deal with. You never really want to take that 1v1. That's a 1v1 that's more than annoying for you as Doomfist. And she does a good amount of damage. Unlike Moira and Briggs, she might actually just kill you depending on what the situation is looking like.
Definitely. And like the fact that she doesn't completely freeze you with her left click is probably like the main reason why she doesn't like hard counter or even soft
Oh,
counter
absolutely.
Doomfist anymore.
Absolutely. If she
But
froze
definitely
you with
still
that,
favorable because she just is not affected by Doomfist for the most part.
not at all. And she still does good damage. Her left click does more damage now, too. So you could just hold down left click on Doom and just make him.
Mhm.
Basically, you're forcing Doom to use
She
his shift
kind
to
of
get
seems
away
more like Pyro.
from TF2.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel that.
seems you're just trying to do a ticking dot damage.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely. It's not terrible. It's not the worst. I don't think May's like the worst character.
I think she's
I
in a
do think
pretty good
she's.
spot. She needs to be
Yeah.
fixed a little, tuned a little bit. Maybe something with the wall. The wall's a little weird right now.
A wall's annoying clutter on my screen, and I hate it. I will say this: I think she was always a situational character that was
Hmm.
exceptional on 2CP maps, and now that 2CP isn't in the
Hmm.
game, that is now one of the reasons why she feels weaker, because that was kind of what she was excelling at, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, next up is you. What do you have next?
You know, I'm thinking. I'm thinking Sigma. I'm thinking Sigma as a soft counter for Doomfist here. I
Yeah,
don't
I
think
agree.
he
Sigma's
hard counters
Sigma's E is his rock is so powerful
Well,
right now.
his rock is extremely,
They
especially
buffed
since
it, man.
Doomfist doesn't have a shield.
Mm-hmm.
It's just he
Less
doesn't have
shields.
a real way to mitigate it. He's just going to take that rock chunk,
Yeah. The
just get hit
E,
right in the face.
your you get knocked right out of that. You get knocked
Hmm.
right out of that. The rock is
You'll
so
get no
strong right
damage
now.
until you won't be able to apply pressure.
Mm-hmm. I think Sigma might actually like I know we've done some tier list stuff already. I think that Sigma is really good. Like I mean people are sleeping on Sigma because I've
Hmm.
seen tier lists
Definitely.
of all the characters. People are sleeping on Sigma. I got nano boosted and I was one-shotting people with my rock with a nano boost on Sigma. It was insane. That being said, I don't think the rest of his kit is all that good. I just think he does a lot of damage for a tank. That's where his power is right now. And yeah, obviously Doomfist,
Mhm.
he gets hit by that rock. It sucks. It sucks really hard. And if you're using your E at any point with Doomfist, then the rock is so easy to hit you with, and it just fucks all of your momentum up. Your whole game plan gets fucked if you get hit by that rock by Sigma. So yeah, I definitely see that rock being one of the worst abilities to deal with, and plus it's so easy to hit. It's such a big
It's
AOE on Doomfist.
a huge hitbox.
Yeah, I've definitely. It's weird saying it, but even with all these changes, I kind of want to play a lot of Sigma. You felt really good.
I tried him out a bit, and he definitely felt like he was in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, very good. People who haven't played Sigma yet, definitely try him out. When you get a break from playing Orisa and Doomfist, try out Sigma. I promise. He's pretty good. All right, well, we're down to our last little bit of heroes here. What do you got next?
Uh, you want me to go next again?
Oh, I'm sorry. I will go next. You were right. Um, well, I already know what I want for some of these hard counters, that's for sure. For soft counters, I'm gonna go with Echo. Echo got a little bit of a nerf with her duplicate, which is something that we've kind of always wanted. But for the most part, as you can imagine, a character that's generally not on the ground, you're not touching her. She's pretty much going to be flying around. You're not going to be seeing her. She's in the air. She does a lot of damage still. Her only like real big weakness now is that her duplicate is 300 health, I believe, is the limit, right? Like you can still do tanks and duplicate them with her ultimate, but it's going to be a maximum of 300 health, which is very necessary because the tanks, if you could duplicate them one for one, it would be so broken. It'd be
It was
miserable.
broken in 6v6.
It was broken as 6v6. Everybody hated Echo in Overwatch 1. She was way too good.
I will note, when you copy a Winston, your health is still maxed, but it's only maxed at 800.
Interesting. Is that a bug, you think?
I am not sure. I'm
Because
not
I know
sure.
there have been some bugs. For example, the chain heal on Mercy was bugged and wasn't working, even though the visual was there.
Perhaps
That got fixed
it's
today, though. That got fixed
the
today.
amount of HP that a Winston gains on top of his base HP when he uses his ultimate. Perhaps that's added on top of the 300 HP that it treats as the base HP of the duplicate.
God, yeah, I don't even know. I do know that his Echo's execute beam, whatever it's called, the E, that got nerfed as well, but it wasn't a huge nerf. It still feels really powerful to me.
Oh, you know what it is?
What?
Winston is 550 HP and he goes to 1050 HP and it's 5, so that's 500 gain, and it's 800 minus 500 is 300. So yeah, it is taking 300 as the base duplicate HP, but you
Hmm,
do still gain the 500 on
that's some
top of that.
that's some quick math right there. Well, with that, I would definitely say I don't know if it's a hard counter though, because I feel like Echo's damage nerfs made it to where she can't really hard counter her. I feel like she's still pretty
Mhm.
good, but she's just a little bit weaker now because her E was definitely the most devastating thing in her kit. And now I don't think it's
Yeah,
as
just
strong.
the
So,
assassination potential is really
oh
strong,
man, it
but
felt like a one shot.
she can still just sit in the sky and poke, which is, he's just going to have to sit there and take it.
Yeah, pretty
Especially
much.
if she got a mercy pocket, then she's
Yeah,
just going to be spitting out a lot of damage out there.
Oh yeah.
She's basically just a way better version of Hanzo
Yeah.
still at this moment.
I think Echo is. I don't know what you would do with her to make her a bit more. I mean, she's probably in a pretty good spot right now, but I feel like I would like to have a little bit of an easier hitbox on her. Like,
Yeah, maybe they decrease the spread of her left click.
do you make her weaker or make her more vulnerable? I would like to see her be an easier target because if I compare an Echo to a Pharah in the sky, it's much
You
easier
know,
for me to kill a Pharah compared to
you
an Echo.
could do something simple like just change her hitbox in general, make her
That's
wings like
yeah.
go out a bit more, spread out a bit more,
That's
make
what I would
her
want.
hitbox bigger.
I would want a bigger hitbox on Echo. She feels. I feel like Pharah is so easy to kill compared to an Echo. I don't know why. Just it feels that way to me.
I think it's because of how the flight actually works.
That's true. You do have more movement in the flight. Maybe hey, maybe that's what they do. Maybe they make her
Farah's
movement.
flight's a bit more predictable.
Yeah, maybe make her movement in the sky more predictable. Make it a little harder to
Because
control or something like
honestly,
that.
like with how her fly actually works, the beginning part of it works like a tracer dash. So you can blink in just about any direction,
Hey,
and
maybe they
then you have a fly for a little bit.
make it more like Sojourn's dash. That's how Sojourn's dash is, right? You only choose one direction. That could be
Maybe.
good. Well, either way, that is that pick. What would you like to put up next here on the soft counter?
You know, I had one of the best supports right now up there. I'm gonna put
Mm.
the other one. I'm gonna say Lucio,
Mm.
because as Lucio, you can literally go wherever you want on the map. Like
Yeah.
especially with the passive healing, like you're not gonna get touched. You just have speed on like all the time. Like
Yeah.
it's like you obviously you should try to help your team, but the game right now in quick play just it really feels like just do whatever you want. Everybody's just going in just almost TDM like not
Yeah.
quite. I have seen a lot of coordination, and that's what I want to see more of from people. But I think people are just all picking whatever the hell they want just because they want to try out the new changes, which,
Sure.
understandable. But that's why there should also be ranked. So we can see early on, well, I want to see, because it's really difficult just to get everybody have enough time just to get together custom games. We're going to try out some stuff, we're going to try out some comps.
Mm.
That's a difficult thing versus, oh, let's just queue up with who we have, a small group of 3, and then we'll do some ranked and we'll do some coordination in this against people who are trying to, also do coordinate. We're not really seeing that. We're seeing brawl, let's go in, and Lucio fits that perfectly, especially against Doomfist. He's just not going to catch up to him. He's just gone.
Yeah. The speed boost is pretty much permanent now with the support passive, making it that you can heal, and that includes on Lucio. It's pretty busted on Lucio because it's very hard to hit him. Your permanent speed boost, and you just get healed while speed boosted now. The hero's insanely good, and I definitely see what you're saying. He basically he boops Doomfist around, and he's never gonna get hit by him. And his ultimate is his beat is just as good as countering. It counters anything, right? Like I mean, beat's just too good right now. Yeah, Lucio's definitely one of the best supports I think. For some weird
Definitely.
reasons, right? It's not because like uh oh, these new maps got a ton of environmental kills and I can just boop them off the map. It's just like, no, it's just Brawl is always a really
Yeah.
good way to, if people don't
Yeah,
know
I
what they're
mean,
doing.
metas are always constantly changing. Meta doesn't explicitly mean this is absolutely the best because numbers are always changing, play styles are always changing, people are always improving
Mm-hmm.
and learning more about things. And just, right now, Brawl is just so good. I mean,
Very.
TDM is just a universal concept for shooters. That's what people know, that's what the state that we're in is. And, this is just kind of like the reflection of that. And
Yeah,
Lucio right now is a really good soft counter to Doom
absolutely.
because of just how good he is in this current
Yeah.
meta, with what people are playing and how people are playing.
Yeah. And if you're being defensive about it as well, like if you just speed boost your team, it's very
Hmm.
difficult for Doomfist to land what he wants to land because they're just so fucking fast. Fast as fuck, boy. And that's really where Lucio comes in. I think he's just the
The lack of
speed alone.
CC on top of that.
Yeah, that too. You can't
You
stop
don't
him.
have the Cassidy to flashbang the flanking Lucio.
Yep, he's just gonna do whatever the hell he wants.
Hmm.
And speaking of speed and fast characters, another character I'd put in the same category for a lot of the same reasons is Tracer.
Definitely.
Not only is she really hard for Doomfist, she's blinking around all the way wherever she wants to go. She also has a recall. She also has the new movement speed bonus on her, so she's even faster.
Hmm.
So she's just for the same reason as Lucio. She's just insanely hard to kill. It's like, why
Just
should I even bother? He
stays
could just
out of
kite
his
you.
range.
Yeah, just stay out of the range and just keep tickling him until he dies or
It's just
goes for
another
something
character
else.
that Doom's just got to go. Well, I got to ignore that.
Yeah, and
Just go
Pulse
do
Bomb
something
sucks
else.
to deal with. You can wait for him to use his E and then just Pulse Bomb him,
Hmm.
and then the Pulse Bomb will go off right when the E duration is up. Because when he's using his E, he's basically standing still. He can't do much. He can't move, right? So if you Pulse Bomb a Doomfist near the end of the E duration, it's going to suck for him. He's going to be almost dead by the time that's done. But still, you could Pulse Bomb other people. But it's just really easy to do it. So, maybe it's worth it depending on what his health looks like. So yeah, I don't know. Tracer just does really well against Doom. That's not really anything new.
This has
That's
always been really good in
hmm
any situation.
Now
This
she's just
situation is no
faster.
different. Yeah.
She's just even faster. What do you
Has to
got
go fast.
next?
Well, I feel like pretty much all of these are just the hard counters right now. This Doomfist.
That's true.
And I'm first. I think I want to point out Anna.
I'm gonna agree with you. I think this is pretty much all the heroes left we have right here, and yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. We're gonna start with it. We can go with them one by one here, but I'm gonna say each one of these heroes are the hard counters to Doomfist. I agree with that. Yeah, let's go through them one by one then. All right, so you have Anna. Go ahead. What do you think Anna does well against Doomfist?
Well, I think we've said it a couple times, but talking about lack of CC and how crazy valuable it is to have any form of CC, and she has some CC. Now, I mean, it does obviously require a little bit of technique, a little bit of finesse, and to hit that sleep dart, but hitting it is very valuable. And not only that, but Doomfist cannot deal with Nade, and Nade is extremely powerful. Extremely
Mm,
powerful. A very
yeah,
good Anna will do a lot against an enemy Doomfist.
yeah. One thing that felt really awful to me is when I used my E as Doomfist and I just get slept dart.
Yeah,
Getting hit
you
by
still
that
get
is
slept, you still
devastating.
get naded. Like,
Yeah,
he has
yeah.
nothing for it.
The E ability just reduces the damage, so any negative effect like that really sucks. And Anna has it all. Those are the worst negative effects in the game. Getting slept and getting antied are the worst. Um, Actually, debatably, I guess I could say the other hard
Oh,
counter, good segue here, is hack, which is probably actually one of the other worst things that could happen to you.
the best CC in the game
It
right now.
is the hardest CC. It is one of the only CCs in the game. Hack, it might be really short, but it cancels everything that you're trying to do as Doomfist halfway through. And because all of the abilities you do as Doomfist are pretty long travel times, for example, if you do a shift or you press an E, that's an easy way to get hacked because you're not going to be able to stop her from hacking you because it's so fast. And then there's their 7-second cooldown gone on your shift, right? And you didn't even get the slam. You get stopped mid-air. Oh
Seven
man.
seconds, perfect amount of time for increased damage on you from the
Yeah.
enemy Sombra because you're still hacked
Sombra
for the rest of
is
the 8 seconds.
Sombra is so good against Doomfist, but at the same time, it almost feels necessary. Like same thing with Ball. Like Ball is like you can't stop a good ball right now unless you go Sombra and start hacking him.
Yeah, it's not the worst thing in the world for CC to exist,
Hmm.
but limiting it the way they have, where it's
It's like the only
Anna,
CC option.
Sombra, Roadhog Hook,
Yeah,
it
besides
makes it
these
good,
two abilities here with the Roadhog Hook and
Yeah,
Orisa's
yeah, and
Spear,
Javelin.
these
Yeah.
are the three CC abilities now. If you need
Oh,
CC, these are the
Sigma
three
Rock,
heroes.
Sigma Rock as
Oh,
well.
and Sigma Rock as well, yeah. But for sure, these other abilities are just, I don't know, they're way too good. Like hack
Yeah, they're so
obviously
good.
is such a low cooldown, so frequent. You can do it while invisible. And then on top of that, you have the bonus damage and the sights. The spear, same thing. You can do it while he's just sitting there pressing E, and it goes right through it. And
I
cancels
mean,
it.
it's actually pretty accurate too. Like I've actually hit so many people in the air with it from how actually accurate her javelin is. So hitting a Doomfist with his hitbox, with how slow he moves with some of his abilities, easy.
Yeah,
Easy.
yeah. It's really
Is
easy.
just and I love it too because that's part of her lore. Orisa is supposed to shut
That's
down
true.
Doomfist. It's
That's
great.
true.
I love the dynamic.
Her whole kit basically shuts him down. And I'm telling you, that's one of the reasons why Doomfist doesn't feel as crazy good right now as he
Mm-hmm.
should, because so
It's
many
just
people
there's
are
better
playing
tank
Orisa.
options.
Yeah, so many people. Like, Doomfist is a great tank. It's just that so many people are playing Orisa, and Orisa has so many things that just stops you. I mean,
Yeah, you got an enemy
Fortify,
Reinhardt on
E,
your
and
team.
yeah, oh my god.
You got it. You got it. Play
Yeah.
Doomfist. You got it. But they got an enemy Orisa.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you think about going back to spawn and pressing the H key.
Yep. Yep, I agree. It's it's crazy. It's crazy. And with Roadhog, even though Roadhog feels like he's really weak right now, his hook ability still an insanely good CC, and it's pretty easy to
High
hit
value to
Doomfist.
have CC.
If you just wait for Doomfist to use his cooldowns or wait for Doomfist to hit E, that's a hook. I don't know if you want to hook the Doomfist, maybe you don't want to, but it's an easy hook. And you could do it, stun him, and then, maybe you anti him and he dies, right? Like, it's pretty easy to pull off. I find Roadhog being a pretty lackluster character in most situations, but he's pretty good at dealing with Doomfist, honestly.
I think he is in a weird spot, but almost a good spot. I think it's good that Roadhog is not extremely good. He's he needs a rework on some of his abilities, like heal maybe, and like his ultimate. They need to give him something else, like fix
Mm-hmm.
his hook because it's a buggy mess. But
Buggy.
ultimately, I think being like a lower tier character, but still having that value purely because of that utility of a hook, I think that's a good place for him.
Yeah, and the last one, of course, is Pharah, which is something that has just been around since Overwatch 1. You're not touching her. She's just gonna do
Flying's
damage
just
to
too
you.
strong. It's
Flying
just too
is way
strong.
too strong. Add a Mercy
And
into the
Doomfist,
mix or
with
something, it's
his
worse.
ability changes, actually has no rollout to be able to take care of her anymore. He can't get up there and do it.
Your E just leaves you stuck there absorbing
Mm-hmm.
rockets, and that's not necessarily what you want to do. You might as well just leave. Like,
Dude,
I don't
like
know. Like,
you might
it's
as well
just
play
not good.
Diva at that point.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And to be honest, to be fair though, there hasn't really been many people playing Farah. I've seen her maybe like
That's
a
true.
couple of times, barely.
I've seen a few people play her.
Yeah, it's not as far as DPS picks go, Farah's a fun hero, but not a lot of people play her. It's because the hit scan is so strong right now. Like
It's
Soldier is
true.
too good.
It's true.
And so Soldier is in almost every game.
Soldier's really powerful right now.
But yeah, this is about wraps it up. This is our tier list for Doomfist, I think. I'd love to hear
Yeah.
what you guys think about it. If you think it's right or wrong, what points do you not agree with? What points do you agree with? Let us know. If you like the video, then hey, drop some heroes. Maybe we'll do a Rissa next, or Sombra, or something else like Bastion, one of the new ones, Sojourn even. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. This was kind of a long one. I had a lot of fun doing it though. You got anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, I got your Sombra tier list. Everybody is in the Sombra hard counters.
That's true. Sombra too good. Sombra is the hard counter for everybody right now. Sombra is really good. Well, guys, anyways, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.